Chapter 36. Now it came to pass in the 14th year of King Hezekiah that Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came up against all the fortified cities of Judah, and took them. And the king of Assyria sent Rabshakeh from Lachish to Jerusalem unto King Hezekiah with a great army. And he stood by the conduit of the upper pool in the highway of the fuller's field. Then came forth unto him Eliakim the son of Hilkiah, that was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah the son of Asaph the recorder. And Rabshakeh said unto them, Say you now to Hezekiah, Thus saith the great king, the king of Assyria, What confidence is this wherein you trust? I said, It is but vain words, for counsel and strength are for the war. Now on whom do you trust, that you have rebelled against me? Behold, you trust us upon the staff of this bruised reed, even upon Egypt, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand, and pierce it. So is Pharaoh king of Egypt to all that trust on him. But if you say unto me, We trust in the Lord our God, is not that he, whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah hath taken away, and hath said to Judah, to Jerusalem, You shall worship before this altar? Now therefore, I pray you, make a wager with my master, the king of Assyria, and I will give you 2,000 horses, if you be able to, on your part, set riders upon them. How then can you turn away the face of one captain, even the least of my master's servants? Yet you puttest your trust on Egypt for chariots and for horsemen? And now I am come up without the Lord against this land to destroy it. The Lord said unto me, Go up against this land and destroy it. Then said Eliakim and Shebna and Joah and unto Rabshakeh, Speak, I pray you, unto your servants in the Aramean language, for we understand it. Speak not to us in the Jews' language, in the ears of the people that are on the wall. But Rabshakeh said, Hath my master sent me to your master, and to you, to speak these words? Hath he not sent me to the men that sit upon the wall, to eat their own dung, and drink their own water with you? Then Rabshakeh stood and cried with a loud voice in the Jews' language, and said, Hear you the words of the great king, the king of Assyria. Thus saith the king, Let not Hezekiah beguile you, for he will not be able to deliver you. Neither let Hezekiah make you trust in the Lord, saying, The Lord will surely deliver us. This city shall not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Hearken not to Hezekiah. For thus saith the king Assyria, Make your peace with me, and come out to me, and eat you every man of his vine, and every man of his fig tree, and drink you every one the waters of his own cistern, until I come and take you away to a land like your own, a land of corn and wine, and a land of bread and vineyards. Beware lest Hezekiah persuade you, saying, The Lord will deliver us. Hath any of the gods of the nations delivered his land out of the hand of king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the gods of the Sepharvaim? And have they delivered Samaria out of my hand? Who are they among all the gods of these countries that have delivered their country out of my hand, that the Lord should deliver Jerusalem out of my hand? But they held their peace, and answered him not a word, for the king's commandment was saying, Answer him not. Then came Eliakim the son of Hilkiah, that was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah the son of Asaph the recorder, to Hezekiah with their clothes rent, and told him the words of Rabshakeh. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. Now, yesterday's chapter we was still in the prophecies of this wilderness, which is going to be give forth abundance of life. Even this parched land shall be glad, shall rejoice. God's going to pour out water upon it. God's going to make it bud and bloom and come forth in life. God parched it, and God's going to bring it back to life. See, and this will be, in a sense of a resurrection even, this rebirth, this coming back to life, even like a desert place. Then shall the lame leap, and the eyes of the blind will be open, and the ears of the deaf shall hear, because God's pouring out the truth. And there will be a highway. We have learned of this highway. And it'll be a highway of hallowedness. And there will be no unclean thing found there, neither man nor beast. Neither shall you take of any hallowed thing that is thereon. It's there for the redeemed, these that were ransomed of God. We found that out. And for it gives them understanding. They see even these judgments of God in the earth. And today we are going to be discussing chapter 36. That we can't say it's changing the subject, because all this is the similitudes of those things that are to come. God using this, even this time period of Hezekiah, as an example of this wheel going around. And we're going to we're going to pick it up with this portion of Isaiah, which if we went to the second book of Kings, to the 18th chapter, and around verse 13, we could start reading. It would read almost exactly like the next 4 chapters of Isaiah, but there are some differences. And we'll start with verse 1, Isaiah chapter 36. Now it came to pass in the 14th year of King Hezekiah that Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came up against all the fortified cities of Judah, and took them. And Sennacherib was the king of Assyria. They will call him the great king. And Sennacherib means the sins are multiplied by the lesser light. By this lesser light are the sins multiplied. And we'll find out this lesser light will usually be the reference to the moon, even this lesser light. And he's come up. We remember Sennacherib. He went down and they destroyed Samaria, and he had taxed Hezekiah heavily. And Hezekiah had finally reached the point where he could no longer pay these taxes. Sennacherib, and this was the purpose. They would gather all the riches, and they would come in and take the land over. It's still a very similar technique used today. But Hezekiah is the strength of my God. And this all took place about the 14th year of the reign of Hezekiah. And 14 now, 4 and 10, this work of the law in this great understanding. And that's what we'll be witnessing here, even the work of the law in the whole greater understanding, even of the reign of Hezekiah. Verse 2, and the king of Assyria sent Rabshakeh from Lachish to Jerusalem unto King Hezekiah with a great army, and he stood by the conduit, and he stood by the upper conduit of the upper pool in the highway of the fuller's field. And this fuller's field is the place where they used to go and wash their garments, where this was like the laundry in those days, the place where they would do their laundry. And there was the conduit even of the upper pool, and this would be the pool where they would gather the waters there at the pool, and they would raise them enough to an elevation where the waters could then run down into the city. Even the conduit there is what this is referring to. And we're going to see this is where the Assyrian army would come and block this off to cut off the waters coming into the city. But Rabshakeh has come there, and if we went back and read we would find out he wasn't alone. He had a great army, and with him was Rabsaris and Tartan. Tartan being the prince of princes, and Rabsaris this great teacher. Rabshakeh is the great cupbearer, is what Rabshakeh means. And he is the one who would present the drink before this great king of Assyria. 3. Then came forth unto him Eliakim the son of Hilkiah, that was over the household, and Shevna the scribe, and Joah the son of Asaph the recorder. And Eliakim would be this one who would be over the household at that time. He would be the high priest. And Eliakim is the son of Hilkiah. Hilkiah is the portion of my God. And Eliakim means this one that which the mighty one has stood up. And we're going to find out this is even going to be used as a similitude itself, this one that the mighty one has stood up, because this is even the prophecies of that which God is going to do later. The household, and he was over the household, or over all the household of Judah at that time. And Shebna, this one that grows vigorously, was the scribe, and Joah, the son of Asaph, the recorder. Asaph means the gatherer, and Joah, it is, Joah is a Yo, being a short for Yah. This would be God's brother, the likeness of God. 4. And Rabshakeh said unto them, Say you now to Hezekiah, Thus saith the great king, the king of Assyria, What confidence is this wherein you trust? So Rabshakeh is telling these three that came down to meet him there at the upper pool, Shebna, Joah, and Eliakim, to go back to Hezekiah, the strength of God, and ask him, in what confidence is this that you're trusting in? Just who do you think's going to help you? 5. I said, it is but vain words for counsel, and strength are for war. But on whom dost you trust that you have rebelled against me? And we're going to see that what this means is words. You can't fight a war with words. See, you can't fight a war with words. You're going to have an army, and you don't have an army. So just who are you trusting in to think you are going to come out against me? 6. Behold, you trust upon the staff of the bruised reed, even upon Egypt, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him. Pharaoh, this great house, Egypt, this land of enclosures. See, they're a staff, like a leaning on the tip of a sword, though, and it just pierces through your hand. They're no help at all. And if they come down to help you, they're going to exact upon you. See, these fees, these tributes that you'll have to pay, because this is what Egypt would do. They would come down and help. Then when they couldn't pay for the help, they would come in and conquer the land. 7. But if you say unto me, We trust in the Lord our God, is not that he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah hath taken away, and hath said to Judah and to Jerusalem, You shall worship before this altar? This was the altar they were supposed to be worshiping before in the first place, that which God said, Here will I put my name. So, and Hezekiah had destroyed all the high places, and there was no great big secret of this. Everybody knew about it. Hezekiah was destroying all the high places, all the images, all these not of gods out of the land. And Rabshakeh is wanting to know who's he think he's going to trust in. It's surely not going to be Egypt. 8. Now therefore I pray you, make a wager with my master, the king of Assyria, and I will give you 2,000 horses, if you be able on your part to set riders upon them. So now the great cupbearer, this one who presents the drink unto even the king of Assyria, this altar, this fake altar there, said, make a bet with my master. You make a bet here now. I'll give you 2,000 horses if you can set riders on them. I'll give you the 2,000 horses to come out and fight me. These two witness, these 1,000, the fulfillment horses of these strengths. Now you just witness the fulfillment of these strengths, because God's going to make an example. And we're going to find out who wins at the end of this story, because God's making an example just how God works. 9. How then can you turn away the face of one captain, even of the least of my master's servant, yet ye puttest your trust on Egypt for chariots and for horsemen? See, you can't even whip one of my captains. You can't even whip the least of my master's servants, even if I give you 2,000 horses. And you trust in Egypt, this land of enclosures, in their chariots, in their horsemen, in their strengths. These chariots where men stand up there and run their mouth. They think they can control the reins of God. In their strengths. You trust in all this, and you trust in men, and they're running their mouths. 10. And I am now come up without the Lord against this land to destroy it. The Lord said unto me, Go up against this land and destroy it. But Rabshakeh says now, And I am now come up without the Lord against this land to destroy it. And that's where he made his mistake. See, he exalted himself. He exalted himself above God. God had sent them as a destruction. God had done this, and God did send them to destroy the land, but he came up without the God. He came up under his own authority. 11. Then said Eliakim and Shebna and Joah unto Rabshakeh, Speak, I pray you, unto your servants in the Aramean language, for we understand it. Speak not to us in the Jews' language, in the ears of the people that are on the wall. So now these three, Eliakim, Shebna, and Joah, this one that God set up, this mighty one, the mighty one is set up, and that grows vigorously, even the similitude of God, says, don't speak to us in the Jews' language so everybody can understand it. Speak to us in this Aramean language, this language of the enlightened ones. Why? They didn't want everybody to understand. They didn't want everybody to hear what was going on, because there was great problems in the kingdom, and they was all scared to death because they believed what Rabshakeh was saying. 12. But Rabshakeh said, Has my master sent me to your master and to you to speak these words? Has he not sent me to the men that sit upon the wall to eat their own dung and drink their own water with you? So Rabshakeh replies to them, Who do you think they've sent me here to? These ones, just you and your king? How about all these that sit up here on the wall that are starving, to having to drink their own urine for water? Of course, he didn't know that the lower pools were puddled up between the walls. They had a water source. God had, we'll find that out of old, had planned this. But Rabshakeh wants to know, who you think I'm sent to? I'm sent to all these that sit there, eat their dung. Why? He's trying to incite an uprising from within. 13. Then Rabshakeh stood and cried with a loud voice in the Jews' language, and said, Hear you the words of the great king, the king of Assyria. So Rabshakeh, this cupbearer, even to this one he calls the great king, even this king of the progress, this king of the altar there. Thus saith the king, Let not the strength of God trick you, for he will not be able to deliver you. So don't trust in the strength of God. Don't let the strength of God fool you. Don't let the strength of God trick you. That's what he says. 15. Neither let the strength of God make you trust in the Lord, saying, The Lord will surely deliver us. This city shall not be given unto the hand of the king of the altar, this alternative altar, this progress. See, don't trust in Hezekiah. Don't trust in the strength of God. Don't put your trust in what you know and seen. Don't put your trust in the understanding that God has given you, and shown himself mighty in all the earth. 16. Hearken not to Hezekiah. Hearken not to the strength of God. Rabshakeh is trying to tell him now, don't listen to God. Don't listen to these examples. Don't look and see now. He's a liar. He's trying to trick them. For thus saith the king of Assyria, Make you peace with me, and come out to me, and eat you every one of his vine, and every one of his fig tree, and drink you every one the waters of his own cistern. So Rabshakeh, this great cupbearer, this one who's brought forth this great cup of confusion, this great cup of lies, make you peace with me. Come out to me. Eat you every one of his vine, every one of his own fruit, every one of his fig tree, every one of his own fruit tree, even this fruit that was found acceptable, and drink you every one the waters of his own cistern. Come on out to me. Give up. Come out to me, and there'll be great peace. 17. Until I come and take you away to a land like your own land, of corn and wine and land of bread and vineyards. Come on out to me, and I'll come back and carry you off to land like your own land. It's a land of harvest, and a land of drunkenness, a land of sustenance, vineyards, gardens. See, sound like heaven? Sounds too good to be true. It probably is, because what he's going to do is carry them off to captivity. And this is what they used to do back then. They would come in, and you would make peace, and then they would return after they've slowly spoiled and robbed, carry them off to captivity, and we'll find out this is exactly what happened. And these are the prophecies thereof. 18. Beware lest the strength of God persuade you, saying, the Lord will deliver us. Hath any of the gods of the nations delivered his land out of the hand of the king of Assyria? How about all these other nations in the world? Where have all their gods gone? What has happened? Has not this great king of Assyria taken over? But we're going to find out. See, God was using them to do his work. What did he say? I will come and punish the whole host of heaven. Then I'm going to turn my sword toward the flesh, even these ones in the flesh, even into the earth. And we'll see, that's what they had done. They'd went and conquered all these lands that had these false images, all these lands that had these not a gods set up. 19. Where are the gods of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the gods of the Sepharvaim? Have they delivered Samaria out of my hand? Look at Israel over here. I just whooped them. Samaria, this place of the dregs. Why? Idolatry. They'd went into idolatry. Where are the gods, these not a gods, these sticks and stones of the Sepharvaim? These ones of the books. These ones that have all the understanding. Where are their gods now? Where are the gods of Arpad, the scatterer? Where are the not a gods of Hamath? This fortress, even this fortress of lies. 20. Who are they among all the gods of these countries that have delivered their country out of my hand, that the Lord should deliver Jerusalem out of my hand? Now Rabshakeh is really getting boastful now, this cupbearer. Where are all these gods? I've done all this. Now where are these? Well, they're not a gods of all these nations. No one's been able to deliver. And who is your God now that you think he can deliver out of my hand? Who's your God? Rabshakeh wants to know. 21. But they held their peace and answered him not a word, for the king's commandment was saying, answer him not. And this was the king's commandment. He said, answer him not. He'd actually told them to stay in the house, but they gathered on the walls because it was a great day. God was going to show himself great. 22. Then came Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, that was over the household, and Shebna, the scribe, and Yoah, the son of Asaph, the recorder, to Hezekiah with their clothes rent, and told him the words of Rabshakeh. So now here they come. They got their clothes torn. They're in disgust. They're ashamed. They're scared. They've come back. They've come back to the strength of God, and they've told him now what this Rabshakeh, this cupbearer of this one who claiming to be the great king, this king of Assyria, even this altar they've made, this step up. They think it's a step forward in progress. Well, they got in a hurry, see, but God's going to return in judgment, and that's what we've been talking about. And see, and this was the great example even of it. All right, we're going to continue in chapter 37.